Hello everybody, it's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Bulls started their West Coast trip today, ladies and gentlemen, with a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And of course, in typical Bulls fashion, they seem to really show up in some games and do often, I guess, have a lot of lackluster games after that, as the Chicago Bulls lose to the OKC Thunder in overtime, our first overtime game of the season. And again, I would say it's a game that the Bulls really should have won this game, in all honesty. And again, it did come down to the final moment. Some different decisions may have led this to a Bulls win, but altogether, a loss is still a loss. The Bulls lost this game against Oklahoma City in Oklahoma City, and we've got a lot to talk about this game. So before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and your overall thoughts and opinions on how the game was played, as well as your player of the game. We lost this game 119 to 123. Again, it was a game that really led to a couple of decisions, some final moments in the game. But throughout the whole game, I thought the Bulls were very lackluster. I thought the energy that we usually come out to play with was not there. Obviously, our turnovers has been a huge problem all season long, and I think today it continued to be a huge problem for us. A lot of unforced turnovers, a lot of missed, I guess, time passes, and some passes just purely shocking passes at the end of the day as well. And again, we lost this game to a team that has a very similar record to us, so we can't take any credit away from them. A team that brought the energy, a team that played more defense, and at the end of the day, a team that made some final clutch free throws towards the end of the stretch. Oklahoma City, in my opinion, were the better team in today's game. I know that might shock a lot of people, but at home, altogether, I think we are the better team. We have better players, we have veterans, we are in a better position than the OKC Thunder in terms of competing right now. But in terms of on this night, Oklahoma City Thunder were the better team. They played with much more energy. They played much more as a team. They destroyed us in points in the paint, which is something that with Nikola Vucevic and Andre Drummond, two guys that are really good in terms of sitting in the paint and deflecting shots. Not necessarily blocking shots, because Nikola Vucevic is not the greatest paint protector. He's not a rim protector, and neither is Andre Drummond, but two big bodies in the paint that simply could not stop any of the drives, any of the cuts that I guess OKC provided for their team, and we got destroyed in points in the paint. But in saying that as well, our defense was absolutely shocking everywhere else as well. How many backdoor cuts did we allow the OKC Thunder to have? How many just pure straight drives did we allow OKC Thunder to have? How many fouls did the Chicago Bulls commit? Again, I do feel like our defense let us down today. And again, I was praising our defense a couple of days ago, but I do feel like our defense also let us down. And I don't think our offense was that far behind it either. A lot of stagnant offense, very poor shooting night from most of our big three. I think Vucevic didn't get the ball enough, and DeMar and Zach struggled from the field. So that is obviously, again, considering how bad our defense was, and then obviously considering how our offense was today, it was naturally, I guess, a thought process of, I didn't think the Bulls were going to win this game. And look, I give them respect for that 9-0 run in the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, I think the rightful team deserves to win. And that's hard to say because you're a Bulls fan. Doesn't matter how we won this game. I would have taken it in every single way, form, or fashion. But we lost this game to the team that played better. So fair play to the Oklahoma City Thunder, a young team. Of course, as an Australian, I really rate Josh Giddey. He almost had a triple-double. If he didn't have a triple-double tonight, he was obviously fantastic. The OKC Thunder team brought the energy, brought the defense that the Bulls simply did not. And they also took care of the ball a little bit better than us as well, at least from my interpretation. I don't know how many turnovers they actually committed. But yes, very disappointing game from the Chicago Bulls. And this is why I'm telling people not to get carried away, because the Boston game was fantastic. It was a good start towards, I guess, recovering from our disrespectful 4-game losing streak that they gave to the fans. And then the Bucks game was progression. It was absolutely phenomenal. But you always knew a game like this could come. You never know which Chicago Bulls team is going to show up on the night. I'm not going to go overboard and say I'm back to hating every single one of these players, or I'm back to saying that everybody should leave, we should be focusing on trades. It is just one game after a 2-game win streak. I'm not going to go overboard and say this is a unacceptable performance or anything like that, even though we should walk away with a win. What I'm going to say is this team is still showing that it's inconsistent, and they have to take those steps. They have to bring the energy. They have to do everything in their nature to try and walk away with wins in this West Coast trip. It's a bad start, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that this West Coast trip, this is one of probably the easier games we're going to have on this West Coast trip, and we failed to deliver a win. But it's not over, and I'm not going to treat it as such. We still have games where, yes, that we are versing great teams, but if we can get together, we can bring that energy, and then obviously we bring a little bit more of our offensive firepower as well. We can walk away with wins here. But this is definitely a game that the Bulls should have had. We should have come into this, we should have won this game, we should have carried momentum over heading into some bigger games as well. But the Bulls failed to do that. And at the end of the day, it's no one else's fault but our own. The foul calls, in my opinion, I think the refs called the game very fairly. One of the only times I'll ever say that, especially from the Bulls side of things, because we have seen some 2-minute reports. We have seen some really shocking calls on the Bulls as of late throughout the course of the whole year. But I'm not putting that on this game. I thought this game was judged very fairly. If the fouls weren't given on the OKC Thunder side, they weren't given on the Bulls side either. And at the end of the day, I think that's fair. If you're calling it fair, it is what it is. But again, it's just frustrating because this is the game where if you thought any game in the West that we had, this was the game we thought we would win. But OKC, they remind me of the Toronto Raptors a little bit. Obviously, they're a little bit of a step behind them in terms of, I guess, Toronto are probably more ready to compete now. But they have length in almost every other area but the center position. The center position should have been where the Bulls dominated. Very similar to Boston and very similar to Toronto, where the centers were the ones that really carried this team. And obviously that didn't happen today, but at the end of the day, they remind me of the Toronto Raptors in many ways. If that's a good thing or a bad thing for Oklahoma City Thunder fans, I guess I'll leave that up to you. But they definitely remind me of the Toronto Raptors. Length in every single position. They obviously are a team that likes to drive. Not the greatest three-point shooting team, but they drive to the basket, they create a lot of foul calls, and they dominate and they play with physicality. And that caused the Bulls problems today. And it almost felt like they didn't expect what was coming to them. So, look, we've got to be better. There's no excuses. We've got to step up. We've got to deliver. We've got to find a way to win in the next time out. Let's look at, I guess, the must improve in the player of the game for this type of game. I'm looking at the must improve, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, I think we should mention that the big three struggled. Again, Zach LaVine, one thing I have to say about Zach LaVine, I'm sorry, is that why does every shot with Zach LaVine has to be a hero shot? Why does it have to be a step back three, a step back mid-range, driving over 2-3 defenders? All of his shots are like that. To be honest, the way that his shot selection is, I'm surprised he's averaging 18 points per game this year, because he's making some good shots, ladies and gentlemen. And I think even today, some of the shots he made, they were good shots, or there were shots that he made that I'm like, wow, what a shot by Zach LaVine. But my goodness, man, we do not create anywhere near enough easy opportunities for our guys to score. I can recall Zach LaVine having 2 catch and shoot shots in this game out of the entire game, and I'm pretty sure both of them went in. He's a great catch and shoot player. Why does everything have to be give the ball to Zach, let him dribble out the clock, and then let him take a shot that he wants to take? Half court, step backs, mid ranges, layups over 3 people, and we'll just live with that result. I think this Bulls team, I don't know if it's a point guard issue or a coaching issue. I don't know if it's because DeMar DeRozan is the primary ball handler most of the time. We've got to do so much better at getting guys like Zach LaVine open and for catch and shoot opportunities. Again, that's where he's so good, but we don't see it anywhere near enough. And I even think it's the same for DeMar DeRozan. How many chances do you give DeMar DeRozan in the post like you do with Vucevic? Even Vucevic, he didn't go anywhere in the post anywhere near like he should have. And again, I just think we're making the game so hard for ourselves. Give some of these guys some off-ball opportunities to go to work. It's not always just give the ball to the primary ball handler, watch them drive, they either kick it out or they shoot. I feel like our game is too basic. We've got to do more in terms of the off-ball movements. We've got to do more in terms of off-ball shots. And our superstars should not just be getting the ball and driving or getting the ball and taking ridiculous shots, and that's how they get their points. I think we got to make the game easier for our guys, but at the same time, our game is so basic now, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got to do better. I can't remember the last time I saw Zach LaVine do a backdoor cut that actually went through. And again, there are very few opportunities that lead to catch and shoot threes or easy opportunities or easy layups. There's not that many of them, ladies and gentlemen. But again, that might just be me. It's not just a Zach LaVine issue. I think it's an everybody issue on this team. Even guys like Patrick Williams, a lot of his shots that he takes are driving to the basket, mid-range shots that again are moving, or he's creating his own shot, or it's an open three-point shot from the corner. I feel like we could do so much in terms of actually running plays for some of these guys that I just don't think we do enough. And maybe that is a coaching issue, but I also put that on the players as well for, again, just being so basic in terms of their offense, for just being so stagnant in terms of their offense. The coach can't be the only one at fault there. But yeah, I really had a big problem with that. But again, when we're moving back into the must improve, honestly, I don't know who to give this to. I'm not going to give it to Javonte Green because he was hurt, ladies and gentlemen, but he only played 11 minutes in this game. So he would be one of the candidates, but I don't think I'll give it to him. Altogether, I do think this is so hard. Honestly, I think the one that I watched in the game that I really had a problem with was Ayo Dosunmu. So I'd probably pick Ayo. And look, his stats were fine. 7 points, I think 2 rebounds, whatever amount of assists that he had. It was a solid game statistically from Ayo. But we saw so much struggle from the big three, especially Zach and DeMar in terms of the field goal percentage. And we needed guys in our starting lineup to step up. Now, Patrick Williams stepped up defensively. In my opinion, he was easily the best defender in the game. So I don't want to question him and put him as the must improve. But Ayo really only got going in the fourth quarter. I think most of his 7 points came in the fourth quarter. And for the most part, he took about 3 or 4 shots until that fourth quarter. So that's not good enough from Ayo Dosunmu. When we need players to step up, Ayo has to be one of them. And unfortunately, I don't think he did anywhere near enough. So I'd probably target him as my must improve. But at the end of the day, it's a very difficult choice. My player of the game, honestly, I don't know. I think everybody struggled, man. I really believe it. I think every single player on this team kind of struggled in many ways. I thought our defense was poor. Our offense wasn't very good. It was very stagnant. I honestly really don't know who to give it to. I mean, maybe DeMar DeRozan with his 30 points and 6 assists. Statistically, he's probably the guy to give it to. Obviously, Patrick Williams, because he was the only guy that really played any sort of defense. Zach LaVine had 27, but again, it was on 39% from the field. Again, I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the comments. I honestly can't think of a player of the game at the moment. I'm still very flustered and frustrated based on that game. You guys can let me know who your player of the game is. Again, I honestly don't know. I think this is the first time ever I truly don't know who to give a player of the game to. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. But the Bulls record now is 8-11. Again, it's a bad start to the West Coast trip. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bad West Coast trip overall, but we've got to be better than that, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to be better. We had the better team in this game, but when you don't play hard, when you don't bring energy in a game that requires energy, you're versing the youngest team in the NBA. They're always going to fight. They're always going to bring energy. If you don't play with energy, you're going to get caught out, and that's exactly what the Bulls did. So that was extremely frustrating in every sense of the word. And fair play to OKC for playing with that energy and playing with that desire to actually win the game when the Bulls simply could not seem to fluster that energy or seem to maintain that energy throughout the whole game. Our next game, I believe, is against the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz, I mean, look, you got all-star Larry Markkinen on that team right now, ladies and gentlemen. They are definitely the surprise of the NBA season as we speak, and that is no easy game. Look, you might have come into this season saying, look, Utah is a game that the Bulls can easily get 2 wins from. No, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen over the course of many, many games now. I don't know if it's a fluke. I don't know if they're ever going to come down from that momentum. But whatever the case may be, they're a team that the Bulls cannot take lightly anymore. It may have been a game where you think, yes, we could walk over them in terms of the start of the season. Right now, the answer is no. We're not going to walk all over them, especially if we play the way that we played against OKC. We're going to have to bring our energy. We're going to have to bring our best version of ourselves. And we're going to have to stop being so damn inconsistent. Otherwise, we will get caught out in games like this, and this West Coast trip will be off to a very bad start and can only get worse with the game after that being one of the top teams in the West as well in the Phoenix Suns. No one said this was going to be easy, but at the end of the day, the Bulls are better than this. and they have to show it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next video, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if I've come off a little bit angry or frustrated, but that's exactly how I feel. I knew there was always a game like this in store for the Bulls, and I said it literally in the last video. Feel free to check that out if you wish. I said at the very end of that video, I still believe there's inconsistencies in this team, and I still believe there are times where we don't know which Bulls team will show up, and unfortunately the team that we didn't want to show up turned out to be the one that came out today. So the Bulls do have to be better. We only lost in overtime, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm making it sound like we got blown out and stuff like that, but again, OKC are a young team. We've got to capitalize on their inexperience, and to be fair, the one thing I will give them, they have much more overtime experience than us, so I can understand them winning in overtime, but at the end of the day, the Bulls should have done a lot more in terms of making sure that it never got to that stage. And of course, if you're going to talk about the last shot with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, obviously DeMar DeRozan jumped into that pump fake. Look, he got him with his own move. DeMar DeRozan would know that better than anybody, and it's a bad mistake, but we could have easily prevented that from occurring as well. A couple of bad decisions that we've made, and if we didn't make them, it could have been a Bulls win, and I'd probably be saying the Bulls played bad. They weren't necessarily the best team we've ever seen out there. Definitely not a best performance, but you take that one. It's the first game out west. You got to take that win. And we would have taken that win, but we lost, and now we're talking about how much of a bad start it is to the West, but we've got to be better. So that's kind of how the situation goes. With that being said, have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.